Hey, you heard right. You're no longer needed. Sorry, but I'm taking this tower mansion and your husband. As a thank you, I'll rent you a room at double the rent. Even hearing Selena's despicable words, my heart remained calm. Understood. Let's get divorced. I will call a lawyer right away to discuss this, so please respond when they contact you. I said this in a purely businesslike manner. Whether it was my tone or something else, Selena started laughing again. Oh, please. A gaming maniac and gardening volunteer short on cash, are you? Selena was irritated with Thomas for hesitating to pay the alimony in the divorce proceedings. Hey, why are you being so stingy? Just pay up and it's over. Thomas, you're the owner of this tower mansion, right? An owner, right? Then you can easily afford this amount, can't you? At Selena's words, Thomas opened his mouth and looked awkward. At the same time, the lawyer, Mr. Oliver, burst into laughter. Ha ha! Selena, are you serious? This tower mansion belongs entirely to Kelly. Hearing this, Selena momentarily looked confused. Still, I was happy that someone as plain and introverted as me had sparked her interest. Was I foolish to believe? You two are so alike. The way you look down on me is just like that of a devil. You don't deserve the top floor of this tower mansion. Please fall even further down to the very bottom. I will never forgive you. My name is Kelly, a 28-year-old housewife. I live in a tower mansion with my husband Thomas, whom I married 2 years ago. I teach at a gardening class twice a week, and the rest of the time I'm mostly at home on my computer. I've always been introverted, loving games, manga, and anime since my student days. It was purely by chance that I married Thomas. 2 years ago, I went to a popular bar in a busy downtown area for work. The bar, located in a prime street front location, was reputed to be very popular. There, working as a bartender at the time, was Thomas. I was very nervous entering the bar for the first time, but Thomas's lively talk helped me relax. He was a popular bartender in the bar, handsome and outgoing. I ended up drinking more than usual, carried away by Thomas's conversation. Maybe that's why I talked to Thomas about so many things. Because of that, I told him various things, like my favorite anime, foods, and even about my family's business. Under normal circumstances, Thomas and I would never have met, but he took an interest in me because I was unusual. After that, we went on several dates. One thing led to another, and before I knew it, we were living together and then got married. Around that time, Thomas took over the bar's management from the previous owner, who was looking to retire. When the previous owner was considering closing the store, Thomas came forward and decided to take over the business. Thomas got busier with work, so we didn't have a wedding ceremony. I didn't mind at all. I was happy just to be living with him. That's how we ended up married for 2 years now. Thomas comes home late at night because of his work. So our routine is him coming out of the bedroom by the time I return from teaching my bi-weekly morning gardening class. We have lunch together, then Thomas prepares for work. While he's getting ready, I'm facing my computer screen. Seeing me, "You hardly work. Just playing games on the computer every day must be nice," Thomas would say. But I counter, "I have told you before, it's not just play. This is work too." When I say this, Thomas always laughs, as if I'm an idiot. Sure. There are those who say gaming is their job. But messing around with that stuff doesn't make money. It's not a real job. I know Thomas doesn't mean any harm. But to him, who takes great pride in his work, everything I do seems like play. This is true for sitting at the computer, but also for being a gardening instructor. Digging in the dirt and computers won't make you money, you know. Since you have the chance, why don't you do something more fulfilling? Thomas may not understand, but I feel I am doing my job with a sense of purpose. Still, not wanting to dampen his work motivation, I didn't say anything more. Since becoming a bar owner, Thomas seems to have changed a bit. When we met, he was more approachable, cheerful, and humble. But lately, he's been rather condescending. Is that what being a business owner does to you? As I was doing various things, Thomas finished getting ready and left the house. A few hours after Thomas left, I received a message from a close friend. Her name is Selena, and she's been my best friend since high school. Back then, I was a bit introverted and shy, and Selena approached me. Selena was sociable with many friends and a part of the popular group in high school. According to her, what sparked her interest in me was the size of my family home. My family's house was incredibly large and very old. I love things like haunted tours, you know? I thought it was a bit much to say about a still inhabited house, but I didn't mind since she was interested in me. We even hosted a real haunted tour in the house one summer, inviting some classmates. Thanks to that, I, who was more introverted, became more integrated into the class. We stayed in touch after graduating high school, and I even announced my marriage to her. Selena was happy for me, as if it were her own news. The message from Selena said, "Got bored of my hometown, so I'm moving over to your place. Looking forward to it." After graduating college, Selena married a young city councilman in her hometown and lived an enviable, wealthy life. Through our messages, I learned that she had divorced the councilman for some reason. She had no children. This was the catalyst for her leaving her hometown. I got permission from Thomas and invited Selena to our house on the day she was coming over. I wanted to introduce her to Thomas. She hadn't decided where to live yet, so after she visited, I planned to go look at real estate with her. "Kelly, don't worry. Even if your house is small or Thomas is ugly, I won't laugh, I promise." The message she sent just before she moved was kind or rude. I couldn't tell. I chuckled to myself, thinking it was just like Selena. Wow, amazing. Tower apartments do have great views. I'm so jealous. And you own the whole building, right? That's really incredible. Selena, just out from our hometown, was thrilled at our tower apartment. The room wasn't on the top floor, but it was high enough and well located for a great view. I, too, love the view from this room. "So, what does Thomas do?" Selena asked while looking at the view. "He runs a bar." My words seemed to excite Selena even more. "Wow, a business owner? That's impressive. And what about you, Kelly? What do you do?" Selena then asked about me. "I'm teaching a gardening class twice a week now." When I said this, Selena turned around looking strangely happy. "Oh, so it's just volunteer work? Gardening is something anyone can do after all. Well, Kelly, you've never been good at much, so it can't be helped." I was slightly annoyed by Serena's laughing remark, but my attention shifted when Thomas came out of the bedroom. "Selena, that's right. Kelly can't do much, but spends all day playing games on the computer," Thomas said as he sat down on the sofa. Seeing this, Selena quickly moved from the window to the sofa and sat near Thomas. "Nice to meet you, Thomas. Wow, you're much more handsome than I thought. I can't believe Kelly landed such a handsome husband. You know, Kelly has always been into games and anime since high school. I'm surprised she hasn't changed at all." Selena, with Thomas right in front of her, noticeably raised her voice's tone. It's a behavior pattern I've seen often from her since high school, when she meets a guy she likes. "I was surprised, too, to find Kelly has such a cute and stylish friend. I thought she'd bring someone plain, but here you are, so adorable." Selena giggled in a high-pitched voice at Thomas's words. It seems Thomas is not entirely displeased either. Maybe it's just me, but Selena and Thomas seem very much alike. Their conversation seems fun, but there's malice in their words. The one giving malice might not realize it, but the receiver is sensitive. In this case, they both seem to share me as their target of malice. Ignoring my presence, Selena and Thomas are engrossed in their conversation. Unable to open my computer with guests over, I'm just spending time being bored. Eventually, their conversation shifts to Thomas's bar. "Thomas, you run a bar, right? That's amazing. I'm interested in management too, so I really admire you." Pleased by Selena praising herself, Thomas seemed in a good mood. "Then how about coming to my bar later? I'll treat you for your moving in." Somehow, it was decided that Selena would go to Thomas's bar. The plan was to look for Selena's place with a realtor after this. Selena, as if forgetting the promise, agreed to Thomas's suggestion. "Really? I'm so happy." I couldn't let Selena, just out of town, go to a night bar alone. I tried to go with them, but Thomas stopped me. "You don't need to come. You have your teaching job early tomorrow, right? Don't worry, I'll take good care of Selena." Leaving Selena's suitcase in the living room, Thomas took her to his bar. At the entrance when leaving, it seemed like Selena gave me a malicious smile. Am I just being overly suspicious? Just negative thinking? In my experience, bad premonitions always come true. In the end, Thomas and Selena didn't come back until morning. When I returned from the gardening class, Selena was sleeping on the living room sofa. Thomas, emerging from the bedroom, said Selena drank a lot last night. She got drunk and fell asleep in the bar, so he reluctantly let her stay there. Selena's had a hard life, getting married young and all. It's a big difference from you, who does nothing but play games every day. Thomas said this and went off to his bar again. In the evening, when I asked Selena about finding a place, "Don't worry, I found a place I can live. I'm moving there today, so relax, okay?" I wondered when she found it. But true to her word, Selena moved out with her suitcase that day. For a few days, I sent messages worried about Selena's life, but her replies were brief and indifferent. Casually checking Selena's SNS, I saw photos of her visiting Thomas's bar. Apparently, she had been going to his bar alone, frequently. One day, Thomas said, "Selena's going to work at my bar. She helped with the dishes on a busy weekend. It was a huge help, so I'm going to have her help out from now on." Since the day I met Thomas, I never went to his bar. He told me not to come. He didn't want people he personally knew in his personal space. Yet Selena is allowed to go and even work at Thomas's bar? I can't help but feel unsettled. Lately, Thomas and Selena have been getting uncomfortably close. Even if they get along, I think there's something wrong with Selena getting close to a friend's husband. It's been a month since Selena started working at Thomas's bar. Thomas seems to be going to work a bit earlier than usual. The bar's been getting busier again, so there's a lot to prepare for. That's what Thomas said. I offered, "Do you need help if it's that busy?" But Thomas vehemently refused. No, you can't come. You know that building area has become dangerous recently, right? It would be terrible if something happened to you." His tone was clearly evasive, but I didn't argue and let it go. Probably he's just enjoying working with Selena too much. I no longer trusted Thomas or Selena. That day, unusually, Selena came to our house. Her clothing had transformed into something much more luxurious than when she first left her hometown. "Leaving my hometown was the right choice. There's so much excitement here every day, and Thomas is here too." Selena sat on the living room sofa, looking at me with a nasty smirk. Then sighing, she said, "How did someone like you even marry Thomas? He runs a bar and owns this wonderful tower mansion. Someone introverted and obsessed with games like you doesn't deserve such happiness." Listening to Selena, I was convinced these were her true feelings. She's always been like that. Sociable, bright, and friendly, but she never tolerates others being in a better position than her. Even in high school, she might have resented me living in a bigger house than anyone else. That's why she labeled my house with a haunted tour, to attach a negative image. When she married the city councilman, she acted superior to all our classmates. It wouldn't be an exaggeration to say she married him just to hold that superior attitude. Now she resents me for having a husband who's a business owner and owning a tower mansion. I can feel her aura saying, "Don't you dare be happier than me." "Kelly, have you looked at yourself in the mirror? Your clothes and appearance are terrible and drab. It's embarrassing." Selena laughed loudly as she said this. I just silently looked at her face. Seemingly annoyed by my silence, she stopped laughing and said with a scornful look, "I'll be clear, since playing ignorant is disgusting, Thomas and I are dating. He always comes back to my room after work. You wouldn't know because you're blissfully asleep. By the way, my room is on the top floor of this mansion. Thomas arranged it for me. Being the owner of a tower mansion, he spares no expense." I was speechless at Selena's words. I had a hunch about Selena and Thomas's affair. What shocked me was that Selena was using the top floor of this mansion. As I was about to retort to Selena's triumphant smirk, Thomas came out of the bedroom. He seemed a bit surprised to see Selena in the living room, but quickly regained his composure and sat beside her. "Thomas, I heard everything from Selena. About your relationship. Is it true you let Selena use the top floor here? Weren't we supposed to move there if we had children?" I asked Thomas as calmly as possible. Scratching his head, as if just waking up, Thomas replied lazily, "It's fine, isn't it? We're not using it anyway. Besides, us having kids? That's impossible. I can't even think of making kids with you. Stop talking about creepy stuff." If this was Thomas's answer, our future was decided. I can't stay with Thomas any longer. Understood. So, Thomas, you've decided to spend your life with Selena? And Selena, you're okay with this? I asked them one last time. Selena nodded affirmatively, as if it was obvious, and Thomas, embracing her shoulder, said, Need to confirm that? I'll live with Selena. You're no longer needed. Thomas, too, spoke to me with a disdainful look, similar to Selena's. Nothing they say could affect my heart anymore. Selena, thrilled to have beaten me, kept grinning. Then, ostentatiously, she wrapped her arms around Thomas's body. Hey, you heard right. You're no longer needed here. Sorry, but I'm taking this tower mansion and the husband. As a thank you, I'll rent you a room for double the rent. Even hearing Selena's worst possible words, my heart remained calm. Maybe when anger reaches its peak, people become unusually calm. Understood. Let's get a divorce. I will call a lawyer and arrange for a discussion, so please respond when contacted. I said this in a very businesslike manner. Maybe my way of speaking struck Selena as funny, as she started laughing again. Aw, the gaming maniac and gardening volunteer is struggling for money, huh? Planning to sue us for alimony in the divorce? Thomas, we should pay her, right? Kelly needs to live after all. Thomas agreed with a yeah and embraced Selena. They were already in their own world. Watching them made my skin crawl, so I left the place. And while they were at the bar, I packed my things and left. Thomas married me because I drunkenly talked about my family's land ownership, right? Because he knew my family was among the top landowners in my hometown. Selena was the same. Always wanting to be superior to others, you tried to tame me, the landowner's daughter in high school, to elevate your own status, right? Even so, I was happy you showed interest in such a plain and introverted person like me. Was I foolish to believe in you? You two really are alike. The look of disdain you gave me is just like that of a demon. You don't deserve the top floor of that mansion. Fall deeper and deeper, right down into the bottom of the earth. I will never forgive you. Right after leaving the mansion, I found a new place to live. I moved my larger belongings while they were at the bar. Selena's SNS showed her and Thomas on dates, though her face wasn't shown, in the scenes from the bar. Hashtags like, #he is a business owner, and #living in a tower mansion were attached. She's a woman with endless need for validation, I thought, almost impressed. I got a lawyer, Mr. Oliver, recommended by an acquaintance. I heard he's strong in infidelity and real estate cases, so I decided to ask for his help without hesitation. Kelly, you've been through a lot. You don't have to fight alone anymore. Let's work on this together. Mr. Oliver was a man with a very calm demeanor and gave a sense of security. He also expedited the process of filing for alimony very quickly. At that time, Selena and Thomas seemed to agree to the alimony payment, so I expected them to comply quickly, but it turned out differently. Even after sending a certified letter about the alimony claim, there was no response for a week. And even after 3 more weeks, there was still no reaction from them. I somehow expected this would happen. Thomas runs a bar. But is it really that profitable? I don't know the extent of the bar's profits. When we got married, we talked about money management. However, Thomas never discussed the bar's revenue and just gave me the bare minimum for living expenses. Sometimes even that was late. At those times, I had to use my own savings for living expenses. Regarding Selena, I couldn't see any flow of money either. I felt uneasy that they initially agreed so easily to the alimony payment. After waiting a month with no response from them, Mr. Oliver arranged a meeting for the 4 of us. To make sure they couldn't escape or hide, the meeting was set at the Tower Mansion, my former home. On the bar's day off, Mr. Oliver and I went to the mansion. Upon arrival, an obviously upset Selena greeted us. What's this? Bringing a lawyer to the store? Super annoying. She sat heavily on the sofa, crossing her legs and arms, complaining with a devilish look. Mr. Oliver apparently had gone to Thomas's bar specifically for this matter. Thomas, either just woken up or tired, looked lifeless, probably feeling extremely awkward. I could well understand Thomas's feelings. Let's get started then. Just as Mr. Oliver was about to take control of the situation, Selena interrupted loudly. Ugh, so annoying. Thomas, let's just pay the divorce settlement already. The amount in the letter. You can pay it right away, can't you? Selena grabbed the hem of Thomas's shirt, shaking him as she pleaded. However, Thomas looked reluctant. Yeah, I guess. I understood why Thomas wasn't responding to Selena's demands. He simply didn't have the money. He couldn't admit it to Selena after trying to impress her. Having too much pride is truly disadvantageous at times like these. Selena couldn't hide her irritation at Thomas's indecisiveness. Come on, why are you hesitating? Just pay it, and it'll all be over. You're the owner of this tower mansion, aren't you? As the owner, you can surely afford this amount. At Selena's words, Thomas opened his mouth with an awkward expression. At the same time, Mr. Oliver laughed out loud. Selena, do you really believe that? This tower mansion belongs entirely to Kelly. Hearing this, Selena looked confused for a moment. Huh? Kelly? Why Kelly? Thomas owns this entire tower mansion, right? That's why you gave me the top floor, right? Thomas, you told me you're the owner. Did you lie? Selena aggressively confronted Thomas, who replied hesitantly. No, it's not a lie. I mean, Kelly's mansion is mine too, right? I am the husband after all. At Thomas's words, Selena's face fell in despair. It was typical of Thomas to say something like that to impress a woman. Indeed, this tower mansion is mine. I inherited this important real estate from my great-grandfather. My family is a landowner, not just in our hometown. Even if you are the husband, it's not yours. Well, we're getting divorced anyway, so it's a moot point, right? At my words, Selena and even Thomas began to look desperate. So shall we proceed? As per the certified letter I sent earlier, I will claim the divorce settlement from you. What about this room and the top floor? Will you continue living here? If so, the rent for this room is $4,000, and the top floor is $7,000. Please make sure to pay it monthly. Until now, as we were married, the concept of rent did not arise. But since we're no longer a family, it's only natural to charge rent. Wait a minute. We didn't pay before, so it's unfair to ask for payment all of a sudden. $4,000, $7,000? That's too high. Is this how you treat friends? I was surprised to hear Selena use the word friend. It's very funny. Quite ironic, considering she took a husband from her so-called friend. Ignoring Selena's low-level words, I began to speak. Also, you have to pay rent for the building where Thomas's bar is located. It's in a prime location downtown, much more than the rent of this tower mansion. I'll assess it soon and send you the bill. Wait for it. Thomas's face turned pale, and Selena's expression twisted further. Selena might not have known, but Thomas's bar building is also owned by Kelly. Kelly owns about 6 buildings and apartments in this area. Until now, I hadn't charged Thomas tenant fees because he was my husband. That's why he could operate with some financial ease. But that's over now. You both mocked me for playing games all day, but that wasn't a game. It's a simulation system developed by our company. It calculates the best locations and layouts considering people's flow, population, logistics, and even feng shui. I said it wasn't a game, but you never believed me. I've been interested in real estate since high school, due to my family business. With years of experience and foresight, I'm now known as a bit of a real estate mogul. By the way, just asking, what's your total asset value? Selena asked hesitantly, clinging to Thomas's arm. I disclosed it without hesitation. Around $160 million, I guess. Thomas and Selena practically fell off the sofa at my response. Their shock was understandable. Until recently, they saw me only as a game maniac and a gardening volunteer. But even at this point, Thomas and Selena, the devils, didn't easily give up. Thomas, regaining his posture, said with a slight smile, So half of that fortune is mine, right? If we're divorcing, we have to split the assets, right? So I get half of your wealth, right? Isn't that so, Mr. Oliver? Both Mr. Oliver and I were a bit taken aback. I was surprised he knew the term property division, but he didn't understand its essence. Actually, property division applies to assets accumulated together during marriage. Kelly's real estate and company inherited from her family before marriage are not subject to division. Mr. Oliver explained. Thomas looked downcast at this, but he still tried another angle. Hey, I was thinking about the content of that letter. It says when the infidelity started. But is that really accurate? What if I say Selena and I started dating after I left Kelly? That makes it unrelated to the divorce settlement claim, right? It wouldn't be infidelity then. Selena exclaimed in admiration at Thomas's idea. I think it was well thought out for Thomas. However, we are not naive enough to send proof of content without any evidence. Come on, produce proof that we had an adulterous relationship. If we don't have any proof, we will never pay compensation for the divorce trial. I almost laughed at Thomas's feeble attempt, but restrained myself and started talking. So you want evidence? I have plenty, but where should I start? First, there's the audio recording of Selena loudly declaring her relationship with you when she came to my house. It's all recorded on my computer's voice recorder. Plus, I have several photos of you two entering the same room. The security cameras also captured you entering the top floor. I knew they might claim these weren't decisive evidence. Indeed, Thomas was already smirking, ready to counter. Oh, speaking of security cameras, I installed new ones in the building where your bar is. There was a blind spot in the corridor, so I put one there. Thomas reacted strongly to this, clearly upset. What? You can't just put up security cameras like that. It's useless to film blind spots. Remove them. No, I'll remove them. He went from laughing to red-faced with anger. He's a really busy man. What's wrong with installing security cameras in my own building? Besides, Thomas, you once told me not to come to the bar because that building is dangerous. If I hear that, of course, as the owner, I'll put cameras in the blind spots. Thomas seemed resigned at this point. There was no need to show the footage. He knew what it contained. When I checked in advance, I could clearly see Thomas and Selena huddled together in the blind spot of the building. I had seen Thomas and Selena close enough in the building's blind spot, and the cameras even recorded their intimate conversations like, "Let's get married and keep it a secret from Kelly." Installing high-quality security cameras was truly worth it. Thomas and Selena sat on the couch dumbfounded and unable to counter. Even in this situation, they didn't apologize, which frustrated me. I should have stayed in my hometown. This is so annoying and bothersome. Selena's remark was utterly selfish. She came uninvited, disrupted someone's home, and now complains about the trouble. I felt sad. I once believed Selena was a friend, and even felt grateful for her companionship. Why did it have to come to this? The saddest part is, Selena probably never considered me a friend from the start. She took my husband and showed no remorse for her actions. And that's why I won't relent. I was determined not to forgive them. By the way, Selena, aren't you still married to your husband back in your hometown? Selena, who had been slumped on the sofa, lifted her head at my words. She looked at me with wide eyes. Thomas, surprised, looked at Selena. He probably didn't know this fact. You're still in the midst of divorce proceedings, right? Whether it'll be fault-based divorce is still in dispute. I heard from classmates when I visited my hometown recently. Engaging in a relationship during divorce proceedings might not be a legal issue, but it sure doesn't look good to the mediators, does it? It seems certain the reason for Selena's divorce was her infidelity. But she denied it, and while the other side was gathering evidence, she ran away to me. Now she's shouting about marrying Thomas. Selena, is that true? You're going to marry me, right? You promised, right? You can get divorced soon, right? There's no compensation for divorce lawsuits there, right? Selena! Selena didn't say anything, just glared at me. She must be furious about being confronted with something she didn't want to hear. Her face turned bright red with anger. But then, as if struck by an idea, Selena's expression changed. Muttering to herself, she seemed to be deep in thought. Finally, as if having made up her mind, she looked at Thomas and said with an unexpectedly cheerful voice, "That's it. I won't divorce. I'll go back home. Apologize to my husband and get his forgiveness. Thomas, for now, make up with Kelly. Then you won't have to pay the divorce settlement and Kelly's assets become yours, right? Then everything will be resolved. Let's get back together later, okay?" Her idea was so outlandish, it left me stunned. Mr. Oliver looked appalled. Thomas said, "Great idea," and they high-fived. "All right, Kelly, let's make up, forgive and forget. I always knew you were my only wife. Isn't that great?" Thomas reached his hand out for a handshake, which I forcefully brushed away. Don't joke around. Do you think something once broken can be easily fixed? Do you even realize what you've done? I'm sorry, but I don't even have a sliver of feelings for you anymore, Thomas. My decision to divorce is final and absolute. At my words, Thomas and Selena were taken aback and fell silent. Reconcile? Their attitude was utterly disrespectful, and my anger peaked. Selena, thinking of you as a friend was my mistake. It's truly disappointing. Goodbye, and don't ever show your face again. I left the rest to Mr. Oliver and exited the room. I could hear Selena's crying from the living room, but it meant nothing to me. What do I have left after losing both a husband and a best friend? I decided to stop thinking about it for now. All I wanted was to sleep in a warm bed. After some time, my divorce from Thomas was finalized. I didn't know if Selena managed to divorce her husband back home, but Thomas and Selena seem to be living together now. Of course, they moved out of the Tower mansion. Apparently, they're living in a cheap apartment somewhere. According to Mr. Oliver, "The bar you used to manage reopened after renovation. Seems to be doing quite well." Unable to pay the rent for the bar, Thomas was reluctant to let it go. But due to its good location, someone else wanted to take over, and he had no choice but to sell. The new owner pays the rent promptly. Thomas and Selena do send a small amount each month for the divorce settlement. It's not about the money for me. Receiving their compensation is about accepting their sincerity. It's a bit of pride left for someone who lost a husband and a friend. I started a new real estate company, dedicating myself to enriching people's lives. In the end, what remained for me was my work. Using my knowledge and experience from student days, I focused on providing better land and homes. When I open the curtains in the morning, I can see the whole city I'm used to. The still low sun casts shadows of buildings across the city as it slowly rises. I couldn't think of any happiness greater than this view that filled my heart. Let's do our best today, too. Another usual day begins.